By the end of this video you'll understand why Anthropic's $900 billion valuation might be the most dangerous sign for AI yet, and why the Pentagon snub reveals more about the industry's future than any benchmark ever could. This week we're diving deep into 3 stories that expose the gap between AI's promises and reality. Anthropic supposedly raising money at a valuation bigger than Tesla. The Pentagon picking favorites in ways that should terrify every AI safety advocate. And a breakthrough claim that sounds too good to be true, because it probably is. Let's get into it. TechCrunch reports that Anthropic could close a $900 billion valuation round within 2 weeks, with investors given just 48 hours to commit. Now pause for a second. We're talking about valuing a company with undisclosed revenue at more than 90% of Fortune 500 companies. Claude is impressive, but more valuable than Tesla and Berkshire Hathaway combined. The timeline is specific enough that we'll know if this is real by May 15th. But here's my hot take: this isn't about Anthropic's worth. It's about investors so terrified of missing the next Google that they'll write checks based on pure FOMO. The 48-hour deadline isn't confidence, it's manipulation. When you need to pressure institutional investors into billion-dollar decisions, you're not selling value, you're selling fear. Either we're witnessing the birth of the most valuable private company in history, or the most expensive cautionary tale about AI valuations. But there's something much more telling happening in Washington that connects to this story in ways most people are missing. Before I get into that, I want your hot take on this. Comment below: is Anthropic actually worth more than Tesla, or is this the AI bubble about to pop? Now here's where things get really interesting. The Verge confirmed that the Pentagon struck classified AI deals with OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, and even xAI, but notably excluded Anthropic from the party. Multiple outlets corroborate these deals exist, with official Pentagon announcements referencing the partnerships. The exclusion of Anthropic is telling, given their constitutional AI approach and safety-first positioning. Think about this timing. Anthropic is supposedly raising at a $900 billion valuation the same week the Pentagon decides they're not worth a classified contract. The vendor selection suggests the Pentagon prioritized capability and scale over safety theater. Here's my hot take: Anthropic's exclusion might reflect their reluctance to compromise on safety guardrails rather than any capability gap. That could be smart long-term positioning, or expensive virtue signaling that costs them the most important customer in the world. But there's a deeper pattern here that becomes crystal clear when you look at the third story from this week. Meanwhile, VentureBeat says Alibaba's new Matisse agent supposedly reduced redundant AI tool calls from 98% to 2% while improving accuracy. This addresses a real issue: AI agents love to call the same API repeatedly like a broken record. If you've ever watched an AI agent make 47 consecutive weather API calls, you want this to be real. But here's the problem. The 98% reduction is suspiciously round and massive, the kind of number that screams cherry-picked demo. Where's the research paper? What's the baseline? What counts as redundant? Without technical details or peer review, this sounds like marketing copy dressed up as a breakthrough. The pattern is classic: extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, not just a press release. Drop your hot take in the comments. Do you believe Alibaba actually solved AI's redundancy problem, or is this just more marketing hype? Here's the thread that connects all 3 stories, and why it should terrify anyone who cares about AI's future. We have an industry where companies are valued based on hype rather than results, where the military picks vendors based on flexibility over safety, and where breakthrough claims get reported without verification. Anthropic's $900 billion valuation isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening in an ecosystem where being the safety-conscious choice gets you excluded from Pentagon contracts. Where being cautious about your claims means investors move on to the next shiny object. The market is rewarding the wrong behaviors. Companies like xAI that make vague announcements about aggressively low pricing with zero benchmarks get Pentagon contracts. Companies like Alibaba that make unverified breakthrough claims get headlines. Meanwhile, the one company actually trying to build AI responsibly gets frozen out of the biggest deals. This isn't just about valuations or contracts. This is about what kind of AI future we're building. When hype beats substance, when speed beats safety, when marketing beats math, we're not heading toward artificial general intelligence. We're heading toward artificially generated problems that we won't see coming until it's too late. If you want the full breakdown every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, completely free, I go 1,000 words deep in Overfitted. Link in the description. No fluff, no hype. Just reality checks on what's actually happening in AI while everyone else is selling you dreams. Hit subscribe so you don't miss next week when I'm covering the first major AI regulation backlash that could reshape the entire industry. And please share this with anyone who needs a reality check on AI valuations. If companies are valued more on AI hype than actual revenue, what happens when the music stops?